Hello, I'm Enzo, and today I'll be playing TerraTech. So, this is the start of a series I like to call TerraTech Builds. Basically, I play a lot of TerraTech, and I've built a lot of really cool techs. So, this episode is going to be an aviation battleship. Basically, a battleship that also has a flight deck for aircraft. My whole idea of designing this was to be an incredibly powerful tech that has incredibly powerful guns and incredibly thick and powerful armor. This is the first tech. This is actually modded using the Naval Guns mod. It has two main, they're called Yamamoto guns, a play on the name Yamato, and 8 secondary Mark V heavy autocannons. As you can see, the unmodded one has 3 GSO Big Bertha cannons and 9 Hawkeye Type 45 naval guns. That's the only difference between these two. As we go around, you can see the design. I built the hull to look like a ship. It even has propellers for extra mobility, although it still isn't that quick. I use Hawkeye armor spikes to actually make the effects of a ship. And I use better feature blocks to make the hull and make the hull look good as it does. This is the Teardown. As you can see, basically everywhere on the ship, there's at least 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 layers of armor, just to protect very explosive batteries inside. For the propellers, it's nothing special, just Hawkeye 6 blocks surrounded by armor plating. As we strip some of the hull armor down, we can see the hull layer is better feature blocks. Underneath that is a layer of Hawkeye armor. Then beneath that is where we keep all the batteries. Underneath the first main gun, as you can see, just more batteries. We even see some of the thrusters that are inside the tech to help propel it. And inside the fire control tower, it's mostly armor. We also have all of our juicy cabs and instruments. At the top, there's literally nothing special. It's just armor. The top of the fire control tower is just for decoration, to make it look more like an actual ship. I also made a fire control radar because I think it looks really cool. Then the design of the flight deck is basically just like the normal hull. 1 layer of better feature blank blocks. This is so that techs have no issue with moving across it, because normal blocks actually have little bumps on them that are the attach points. So the better feature blank blocks are a complete blank block that's perfect for moving techs across, and perfect for flight decks and aircraft carriers. The top speed of this tech is about 39 miles an hour going forward, and about 29 miles an hour going backwards. But it's built this way because it's meant to be like a battleship, where it's slow but incredibly tanky. Probably one of the best parts. We're actually taking it over to the turret run. Instantly, our guns lock onto the target and delete it. That's because the modded guns actually have way further range than vanilla guns. The difference between the two tech's weapons isn't actually that great. The modded version is all about the main guns and their insane damage, while the unmodded version is all about its secondary guns and sustained fire. The Big Bertha cannons also deal some damage, but not as much as these Yamamoto guns. If you're just plowing through the turret run, it's no challenge at all. The main guns will one-shot any tech in their range. A lot of shots will actually miss, however, because of the speed you're going and the gun correction. In TerraTech, the guns always fire where the tech is, not where it will be, and that's why you'll miss so many shots. One of the downsides to this tech, of course, is its mobility. It uses Hawkeye skids as its kind of, well, wheel. and if it hits anything on the ground, it bumps it. The skids also make it basically only usable in R&D or a salt flats biome. Eventually, I might change it to be a hovercraft of some sort, but that would be incredibly difficult. Maybe a next generation of battleship would be hover powered. Anyways, we beat the turret run with this tech with no difficulty at all. Nothing was a challenge, not even the railgun turret or the missile turret. Even the final turret was just destroyed instantly. That's how powerful these modded guns are. Well, at least the main guns. And for comparison, I also decided to use the unmodded version, just to show you guys the difference. You can immediately tell the range is the first difference. Although the big Bertha cannons do have incredibly long range for normal guns. I also have 3 big Bertha cannons to account for the fact they only fire 1 projectile each. Basically, 3 big Bertha cannons is 1 Yamato gun. And yes, that is the name of the weapon in the Naval Guns mod. You should check it out. It's a really neat mod with a bunch of cool guns. For the first techs, we actually don't really have any difficulty. I feel like these big Bertha cannons actually kind of fire and lock onto their targets a bit better, because you have to get closer. Although we do take a little damage and we get stuck here. The missile turret is still no challenge, but here's where things actually get interesting, the final one. And this is the single largest weakness of this tech, is smaller techs. Basically, it's not meant to be swarmed like this. We have no defenses under the main deck, so that means that if a tech manages to get under you and you can't escape them, if they have drills or something, you're pretty much doomed. That's why I recommend having like a smaller tech or 2 to escort you and deal with any techs that might get underneath you. Now we're taking quite a beating here, but you can actually tell there's no true damage to the tech besides the drills. And that's because this tech has so much battery and so many repair and shield doubles that it actually will almost live forever as long as you keep the batteries recharged. Even though it took some damage, it was still a really good run. And this tech would still be able to keep on going. We'll have to get onto the flight deck portion of this tech. The whole reason I built it, actually. I've always wanted to see a cool aviation battleship, and so I decided to build them in TerraTech. So the planes I'm using for this, I call them Striker 1 Mark II. That's because they're the second version of one of my best planes. And so landing on a flight deck is really difficult, as you can see. And so there are actually a few ways to do it. You can try a legitimate landing, which can actually take a few tries, or you can just dive bomb onto the tech, because when you hit an allied tech, you actually don't take any impact damage, like you would with enemy techs. And you can use the build beam while on the flight deck, most of the time at least. And so that's how I reposition my techs to get them ready to launch. This flight deck can hold about 3 of my planes, and the tails make them pretty long planes too, so if you use smaller planes it should be easier. But anyways, the first tech to go off usually does have a little bit of difficulty taking off because it bumps the edge and you're angled down and everything. But the second and third techs, further away from where you're launching, actually have more time to spin up and fly off. After the flight deck demonstration, let's take a look at the firing range. We'll start with the modded tech. Nothing is a challenge. The guns lock on instantly, and they hit the bullseyes of the target. Here I can also demonstrate how hard it is to turn with this tech. But I think that kind of balances out the incredible firepower. You'll also see a little button on the back of the tech. That's to enable or disable the anti-gravity, which I keep it disabled because it literally just makes you float. It was originally intended to help you with such a heavy tech, but I put too much anti-gravity in, and the fire control tower makes your tech lean to the left. So not my greatest build strategy there, but in the next version, I think I can do it better. But anyways, the small cube is no challenge at all. With just a few shots of the main gun, and the secondary guns hammering down on it the whole time. We do hit some of the blocks on the floor, making us kind of crash to the left. But once we anchor, we're fine. As you can see, after just 2 shots of the main gun, all the shields in the large cube go down, and it doesn't survive for long after that. This cube is just annoying to destroy because it has so many anchors on the bottom, and if an enemy is anchored, each anchor counts as a separate enemy or cab, so that's why it takes so long to kill. But after enough shooting, we do destroy it. The GSO-1 cube stands no chance, the dynamite even less. Then I'll wait for our main guns to fire again, and the moving target stands no chance either. Pretty cool. Now, we'll try it with the unmodded version. We also, for some reason, start out in this position. So we start off, the big Bertha cannons actually can't reach the small target because they can only move up and down. So the secondary guns take care of everything for us instead. Just like the other secondary guns, these guns can move in a complete circle, so you can fire basically any angle on this ship. I actually use my build beam to reposition because it's just quicker. The big difference here is that the mini cube actually takes a lot more shots to destroy. And that's the whole point. On this ship, the main guns aren't as powerful, but the secondary guns provide an insane amount of sustained damage. Even the large cube takes a little bit longer to destroy. Can actually keep its shield and repair bubbles up for a bit longer. So yeah, not as powerful, but unmodded Aviation Battleship for those who don't want to use mods. You may wonder, how do you power up this insanely large tech filled with batteries? Well, I usually use one of these. I built it as a support ship. I call it BBV support, Aviation Battleship support. And it's a small, slightly hovering tech, not really, still needs skids to move. But it's built half of solar panels and half of chargers, and the inside is just filled with batteries. It's meant to follow these aviation battleships and charge them. They also act as a stationary tech to charge it when you first deploy the tech. But now, the part we've all been waiting for. How tanky is one of these techs? Well, the only way to truly test that is with another tech. My theory to one of these techs is that the only way to destroy it is to truly deplete the batteries. If you have a support tech with it that charges it the whole time, it's practically invincible. Although it still will sustain some damage, like this, because we're too far away and enemy AI can't shoot from that far. But once we do though, you can immediately see the crazy damage those guns put out. Although we have destroyed the main guns, the secondary guns in the back are still firing away, and we aren't dealing damage to it. Pause the fight for a second just to see the true extent of the damage. We've actually broke through the armor plating into the battery holding area. We've also done quite a bit of damage to the fire control tower, which is also where we keep the techs. That's why your gun's aimed there. So we'll turn it around to deal even more damage to it. But as you can see, the flight deck almost always remains undamaged because none of the good cabs or anything else important is stored there, making it very much viable to fly aircraft off during a fight. Now the shields are gone, we can truly start dealing damage. It falls over to the left because it loses its sky anchor, and there it just goes downhill. And there it finally goes. As you can see, it's incredibly hard to destroy one of these techs, and that's one of the things I love about it. Try the reverse matchup, but this time we actually unanchored the enemy tech. So let's see how this goes. We instantly destroyed one of its main guns with our superior fire tower, but it's still hammering away at us. It actually decides to ram into us, creating an interesting scenario. Our main guns actually can't angle, just like the big Bertha cannons. These Yamamoto guns have a very limited angle of use. So I'm trying to turn to adjust for that, but we turn too slow. At this point, it's kind of just a dirt fight, trying to use our secondary guns to deal something, any damage at all. But eventually we get out of its range. Our guns are still in range, but the enemy AI is way out of range. I slowly move back in position. I'm hoping that my guns angle correctly, but they don't, and the enemy notices that and moves again. So I just say, why not, and use the build beam. I do that a lot here. We get a huge hit on the fire control tower, removing a lot of blocks. We are also aiming for the cabs, that's why we're shooting there. I have noticed it is dealing a significant amount of damage to my fire control tower too, although not enough to destroy it. Its battery power is surely way less than ours right now. Our main guns also get a few hits on the flight deck, which basically just annihilate it. And now we've actually destroyed the little anti-grav button in the back. So I decided to have some fun too. In anti-grav mode, it's a lot easier to turn and move, but you start floating. So, probably not the best option. Right now our guns actually can't even get at an angle to hit it. So now we're both kind of just floating around. And I turn off anti-gravity and use my build beam to turn, and we get a huge hit on it. We've actually destroyed a good portion of the hull. Because of the shield and repair bubbles, we still actually can't damage the batteries inside. Their power's gone. Now we just destroyed this tech. Well, at least kind of. It's still very hard to kill a tech like this. Still not truly dying, because we can't really hit the cabs. So I decided to reposition where I can and finally take this ship out. And it's done. Still, very cool fight. These techs are incredibly fun to play with. That actually about wraps up this TerraTech Builds video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these really cool techs I built fight. If you want to actually use these techs in your game, the links to the Steam Workshop will be in the description. The modded version just has one mod on it, Naval Guns mod. The unmodded is completely vanilla and you can use it at any time. This is Enzo from Look Into Gaming, signing out.